So hello everyone, it is your girl Gel Beauty 87 here, aka Grace, and today y'all is about the longest video of my life. So I had the bright idea to rank all of my Colourpop palettes, not realizing I owned 53. But two of them dropped on the floor just now, so technically I own 51 because both of them are broken. Thank goodness I told my friend I wanted a replenishment of the It's My Pleasure palette because that's the one that completely shattered and Mr. Sandman is gone. And I am in mourning. Because that was like my favorite shade out of that palette. So I'm so glad I told her to give me that for Christmas. Hopefully she got it. She said she got half my list. So I'm hoping It's My Pleasure was on it. Because I went on the website and it sold out. And I feel some type of way. Especially since Ooh La La sold out too. And I feel some type of way about that. But with all that being said, let's get into ranking all this stuff. Because honey, I got a long like a list of stuff to rank. And y'all know I'll talk forever. So let's get started. So my worst Colourpop palette coming in at number 51 is the Fade to Hue palette. This palette is terrible. Like I told y'all before, like it has like a huge dip in this green shade right here just because it did not blend well. It's got all these damn pressed glitters in it. And although it's a rainbow palette, this is like one of the worst rainbow palettes I have ever used. Like y'all know I love my Colored Rain and my Blend Bully rainbow palettes. I even like my Carnival palette when it comes to rainbow palette. But this rainbow palette right here, I don't know what Colourpop was thinking. This is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And the funny thing is they already have so much monochromatic stuff, so it's like why they put all this in one palette and then gave us this shitty formula. I don't know, but I say stay away from this one. I hate this palette. I hate the formula of it, and it's terrible. So that's number 51 for me. Now number 50 is the It's All Good palette. Now this is the first big palette they came out with like on their own that wasn't a part of Kathleen Lights, because she's the one who did the first big palette before they came out with this one. But oh, also, please be advised, all my Colourpop palettes don't look the way they're supposed to. So don't expect them to look the way they're supposed to. I do like UOMA Beauty and like switch stuff around to the way I see fit. So this is my It's All Good palette. As you can see, it does not look like the way it's supposed to. They had a whole bunch of new neutral shades in there that don't work for people my skin tone, and I wasn't with it. So I was like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. I remade it to look like this, and I still don't necessarily like the formula of these shades. So I'm not here for it. It's not a vibe. I don't like it. No, 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 no. I'm disappointed though, and I feel bad because I had my friend buy this for me for my birthday, but it's like, I'm thinking about decluttering it just because it's like, I think it's terrible. The next one I have for number 49 is the Digital Playground. If y'all remember when I used all of these, I told you all this was my least favorite one. It was the most difficult to blend and everything else. So I was like, yeah, no, I'm not feeling it. But this is what the color story looks like. I have a whole bunch of these shades already, and they have like an orangey corally shade one I like a little bit better. So it's like, I'm not really excited about this one, and I might declutter this one too. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm not a fan of this palette at all. Thank you. Next. So number 48 is your golden palette. Again, all my palettes don't look the way they're supposed to. Neither does this one. I did a whole video of me recreating my Colourpop palette. So if you want to see it, I'll try to remember to link it up above. I make no promises, but this is what my your golden palette looks like. It had too many neutral shades in it for me, and I still feel like there's a few neutral shades in here I want to trade out, but it's like I have to find other Colourpop palettes that I can grab shades from to make it look more of the way I want it to. But this one looks nicer, and it performed pretty well. It performed better than the It's All Good, and definitely better than Fake. He was just, it's a whole bunch of huge neutrals and like a couple of pops of blue, and I added like a couple of pops of green to make it interesting, but it's just not what I necessarily wanted in a palette. So I was kind of disappointed by it, which is why it's so low. Now some of these other palettes are older, and my color story aesthetic has changed based on the new things that Colourpop has come out with, so just keep that in mind too. This is the Femme Rosa She palette. I don't think they even make this anymore. This is the first palette they did with Karuchi. As you can see, I made a nice dip in this color right here. That was back when I was into more of these berry tone shades. Y'all know I love my weird colorful shades like I have on right now. So this one just isn't doing for me like it used to. Plus the performance on it is really, I mean, the formula on it is obviously pretty old because I bought mine when it originally came out. I didn't buy it during the restock or whatever. So this color story is nice, and I recreated mine. As you can see, I put this shade right here, and I think I put another shade in here. I don't remember which one it was, but I'm just not really excited about it anymore like I used to be when it first came out. So that's why it got ranked lower. Next I have the Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon palette from Colourpop. My issue with this was it didn't work for people my skin tone, so I changed it to what I felt like the Sailor Moon should look like based upon like the colors they use. Even though I feel like this still isn't it, because I feel like there should be like reds and navy blues, because that was the color of her uniform. Like maybe they should have just did all the colors of each uniform character's uniform and like put it in the palette instead of whatever it was that they did. I took shades from the Aura and Out and in a Trance palette and put them in here to make this palette look the way it did. I think it looks more aesthetically pleasing, and to me this is more of a collector's palette because like I'm not really reaching for it or using it. So I'm fine with the color story I made for it and the spot I put it in, which is what, like 48, 47. I already stopped counting, so I hope you was counting. But we started at 51, so I feel like we only did like 4 or 5. So there you go. Next I have the Hocus Pocus Witching Hour. This is the second palette that they came out with. The first one is higher up because I redid that color story. This one I couldn't redo, and since I have the It's a Mood palette that you'll see later, I feel like this one is not, you know, gonna be that high up, just because it's like I already have this color story in a wider range with shades I could switch out. And what I don't like about this one is like they don't have any palettes with these pan sizes, so I couldn't switch it out for something different, so I'm kind of annoyed by that. Anyway, I bought it for the collector in me, plus I like Hocus Pocus, so this is nice. It's just not that great considering all the other Colourpop things I own. Am I going? Yeah, I'm going to right stack. I was about to say, I hope I'm going on the right stack, because if I'm not, oh god, it's too late. Next I have the Baroque palette. So I like the idea of this color story. It's just because they have sequin shades, and then like everything is mostly dark and gray. I feel like I don't reach for it as much, because it's like I feel like they could at least gave us some like brighter like blue shimmers to go with it. But I guess since I own the, what's that palette called? I own Blue Moon, I own on Cloud Blue, and then I own High Tide. I don't really need that, which is why I'm fine with it being the way it is, and why I didn't change this one. But I don't like the fact that there's sequin shades in here, and at the time I don't think I had High Tide, and I had the other two ones, so I mean it suffices for that. But when I want darker mattes to go with that, but otherwise I don't really ever reach for this palette. And FYI, I usually don't reach for a lot of my Colourpop palettes. They're just like, you know, affordable trophy palettes, for lack of a better term. I feel horrible saying that, but I rarely reach for any Colourpop palettes. Like the top ones you're gonna see are probably the ones I reach for the most, and some of them in the middle too. It depends. It just depends on color story and my preference at this point in time. Next I have the Mandalorian the Child palette. So of course I had to get this palette. It is too cute, plus it's green. The only thing is I have green palettes from Colourpop I like in my collection better, so that's another reason we're not really like reaching for this or trying to use this too much. Plus to me this is more of like a collector's makeup piece for me. Like the Child is just so adorable, so I had to, you know, hold on to this palette for that reason. Next I have Fine Feathered. This came out with the High Tide palette originally at Ulta, and then you could go to their website later and get it. So this is what it looks like on the inside. As you can see, it's a nice pinkish tone palette. I feel like this would pair well with the Ooh La La palette that you'll see a little bit later. This is a really nice color story. It's just I like Ooh La La better, so you'll see Ooh La La a little bit later. But yeah, it's nice. It's just, again, with the sequin shades, and then I feel like a lot of tones are pretty similar, and then you only get like 2 shimmers out of all these mattes. So I wanted more variety in shimmers and no sequin shades, so that's why it's lower down, because, you know, I have preferences like anyone else. Next I have the Cloud Spun palette. This is supposed to be a lighter version of the Ooh La La palette, the more, I guess, pinky pastel shades. Again, mine doesn't look the way it's supposed to, so don't expect it to look like it's going to look when you look it up online. This is the way I made mine look. I pulled some shades from, I think I pulled some shades from the Inner Trance palette as well. I remember this being the Inner Trance. I think something else was Inner Trance too. I don't remember, but I did do a video about recreating Colourpop palettes like I said. So this palette was in there, and you can see like what palette I used then, because I'm pretty sure I said in that one. It's just, that was so long ago, I don't remember. But this is what she looks like now. I like this color story a lot better. This one works well for me when I want a lighter shimmer to go in my with my Ooh La La palette or the Fine Feathered palette. So I thought it was like a nice little balanced palette in between. When I recreated, it's just I don't reach for it that much, because I do more purples and blues and greens, if you all remember. So since it's a pink palette, it doesn't get as much love from me as, you know, other Colourpop palettes in my collection. Next I have Making Moths. I again recreated this palette. So I took this shade from those new holiday palettes they came out with, the pink and the purple and blue and some other color, and that's where that shade came from. And then I'm pretty sure this one came from Garden Variety, or maybe it came from the She palette. I know this one came from that new palette that they just came out with, the pink one, and I just made a nice little pinky purple mauve moment color story that I liked. So this is what mine looks like. I don't reach for this palette that much, just because I don't really reach for mauves like I used to when it comes to neutrals. I've been trying to stay and live my colorful life, so this one doesn't get that much use from me. But I do like the color story I recreated it to look like. I think it's pretty. So next we're going to get into my next stack. So what is the top of this stack? I'm sorry, y'all. Someone calling on the wall and I wasn't feeling it, so I was like, I need it to go away. Okay, so the next palette I have to talk about is my Lala Palette. I told y'all this is my favorite pink palette from Colourpop. This is actually the very first 9-pan monochromatic palette that they did come out with. They came out with this on Mean Girls Day, and it's like October or something. I forgot what it was, but they came out with this palette that day, and I was super excited to get my hands on it. And this started the like Colourpop monochromatic thing. I want to get a fresh one to use because mine is quite old. This is literally the one that they originally came out with, but every time I go to buy it, it's sold out, so people still love it apparently, because I can't never get my hands on it. But it's a gorgeous palette. It started my love of monochromatic palettes from Colourpop, and it is one of my favorite pink palettes to use. When I think of a pink palette, it is one of the pink palettes I think of to grab for along with the Juvia's Place, I think Sweet Pinks or something. Next I have That's Taupe. Again, a palette I recreated. So my That's Taupe looks like this. I took some of the shades from the I Think I Love You palette that they don't make anymore, like this black shade. I feel like it needed a black in here. Then I think I took one more shimmer shade, like this Boo shade. I think I took that from the I Think I Love You palette as well, and that's how I recreated this palette. So I didn't have to do too much with this one because it had kind of deeper tones because of its taupe. But the two lightest like matte shades I took out just because I was like, I don't need those. And I think this shade was down here, so I took two light shades from up here and just moved some stuff around to make it look the way it does. But it's definitely my color aesthetic. I like it. It's a gorgeous palette, and I would recommend you try it out. But again, yours is going to look like mine. Same thing with this Little Ray of Sunshine palette. This is what mine looks like on the inside. So I took, again, some of the shimmers from I Think I Love You, which they don't make anymore. And I believe it's this one that's from it, I Think I Love You. And it was another one. It's one other thing that came out of, no, I'm sorry. One thing came out of the Ordinate palette. That one, I think I took one of these yellowish mustard shades out of there. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure I did. And that's how this palette came to look the way it did, because they had like two lighter shades that of course I wasn't going to use. I was like, there's no purpose to this being in my palette. So I made sure I got rid of it. And this is what mine looks like now. It's a gorgeous yellow palette. It doesn't have that many shimmers, which is why I put the two shimmers in here, because this actually comes as a all matte palette. But I remember Neon MUA saying that he helped him out with this palette a lot, because at first when they had first came out with it, he said it was just a mess. So I can only imagine how many more lighter shades was in here than like the browns and the like darker yellows that people my skin tone could use. So thank you, Darius Honey, I love you. Next I have the Honey palette. It's what she looks like on the inside. Again, I change my palettes around all the time. Lately, I've just been changing Colourpop palettes around all the time because I'm like, they're not giving what I need them to give. So I'm going to make them give what I need them to give. So this color, if I remember correctly, again, this came from what Aura and Out. I'm pretty sure that's where this green shade came from. It's a really nice palette. I like the color of the, I like that pop of green in the middle of it. I think of it as like the stem of the sunflower. And this is what it looks like. I really love the shade Sunburst in the middle. That's like my favorite shade in here, aside from like this shade right here. I feel like those are just two gorgeous shades to use. And it's a quick go-to eye look, and then you could I could pop the green in the inner corner. That's what my inspiration was. The green could be the inner corner for all like the yellow looks I want to do. Or a lower lash line pop or something to that effect. Next, I have Lock It Down. Now, this is one I got for my birthday from one of my friends. I bought the pink one during this Ulta sale when they had, I think, 40 or 50% off Colourpop. So this is what it looks like on the inside. I put the pink one and this one together. The pink one's over there on the bed, so I don't remember the name of it, sorry. But this is what mine looks like now. I took a shimmer out of that one, and like I took these pink mattes out of here. So I think I took this pink matte and like this shade right here out of that other pink palette that came out in the same holiday collection with this one to make this palette look the way it does. I'm really here for it. I used it once. I'm pretty sure I used this shade in like I think this shade in the inner corner or something like that to do a simple quick look, but it worked nicely the way the other Colourpop 9 pans in the cardboard have been performing, so I was here for it. Next I have Cherry Crush. So this is a newer one. Again, I changed some stuff around. I forgot what I changed around here though. Or did I change anything around here? I'm trying to remember. I feel like I changed maybe one shade in here. I don't exactly remember, but I feel like this was in my recreating my Colourpop palettes video, which means I changed something. I just don't remember what it was. But as you can see, it's a nice monochromatic palette. It gives me the vibes of the Sweet Shop palette, and I usually reach for that one more just because I like the monochromaticness of that a little bit better. That's why this one's a little bit lower down, because I don't own that many red palettes, but I feel like that one is a really good one. Okay, next I have the Hocus Pocus Gather Round Sisters palette. I told you all this one was going to be higher up just because I like this one a little bit better, but again, I curated this one as well. I told you I was just out here curating Colourpop palettes this year. So this is what she looks like. I took this green from Just My Luck, along with some other shades. Like I think this came from Garden Variety, if I remember correctly. And I feel like there's one other shade I put in here that I took from another palette, but I don't remember what it is. I think it might be this Full Moon shade, because I think there was just like a sequin shade right there and I wasn't feeling it. But I don't remember where the Full Moon shade came. Sorry, the shade isn't Full Moon, but the shade I put where Full Moon is, I don't remember where it came from. So sorry about that, but this is how my recreated one looks. I like this look a little bit better than the other one, just because there was a glitter in here and something else that I wasn't feeling. So I changed it around. And I'm liking that color story a whole lot better. I used the greens with like the darker olive-ish green that was already in there, and it made me a really nice look. So next I have the Powerpuff Girls and Colourpop. I was disappointed because this isn't the Powerpuff Girls from when I was a kid. This is the remake that they did, but I guess it was cheaper to get the remake than it was to get the original ones from when I was a kid. The thing that disappointed me about this palette, of course, we already know, was the pressed glitters and the fact that like this whole row is just like neutral shades. It's like, did we really need all these neutral shimmers in addition to like all this other stuff going on? But I guess you need like a neutral shade in the corner. But it's like, why do we need this extra neutral shade? And what do we need the glitters for? Like, not that I don't see bubbles as a glitter. Like, I could definitely see the shade that you use for bubbles color as a glitter, just because that just seems like the aesthetic of bubbles. But I don't know. I wanted more from this, and then the fact that I can't change the pans out and kind of decorated not decorated, but recreated the way I would want it to replace these glitters, I think is another reason that it's lower down for me. Because it's not like the quality of the palette was bad, it was just more of, I didn't like the fact that I couldn't curate it to the way I wanted it to, and it didn't have everything that I felt like I wanted my palette to have. So next I have the Misunderstood palette from who is this, Disney Villains. Again, a palette I recreated. So I took some shades from the Mar palette, then I took another shade from the it was Just My Luck or Meant to Be. This shade is, and then this is from Mar, and then if I remember correctly, I think the blue is from Mar. And I just moved some other shades around to get what's going on now. But oh god, yeah, I don't know what's going on with my eye. I feel like it's water or something stuck in it. That's why I keep blinking. Sorry. Yeah, so this is what mine looks like now. I think it looks cooler because it has some more colorful mattes in it as opposed to a million shimmers and hardly any mattes, because it was more like a accent palette originally, and I made it to where it was a little bit more wearable for me, so that way I could get more use out of it. God, y'all, I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on with my eye. I guess I'm just starting blinking crazy. It's like some of my inner corner is annoying the crap out of me, but this is what she looks like. I'm telling y'all, like, I'm just recreating Colourpop palette master here. Now, I told y'all I didn't like this palette that much, but I liked it better than some of the other ones that you just saw. And at the end of the day, I can always curate this one to the way I wanted to, because it's one of the smaller ones with the pans that's removable. This is A Nightmare Before Christmas and Colourpop. Oh god. Anyway, this is what she looks like on the inside. Now, I got a really nice look out of the palette, so I'm not saying it doesn't give nice looks. It's just more of, I'm not necessarily in love with the color story, and I didn't feel like it was as good a quality as other stuff I have from Colourpop. So that's why I'm just kind of over here like, Like the two grays, I feel like they're okay, but it's like, did we really need both of them? And then the sequin shade over here, again, y'all know I'm not really big on the sequin thing, so I didn't like that. But I mean, like, I guess it's an okay color story for Nightmare Before Christmas. I feel like it doesn't necessarily do the movie justice, but at the same time, you know, like, we asked for it, so I guess it's like we got what we asked for. I don't know. I don't know if we were asking for like this color story, but we asked them for a palette and they came through. So I mean, I guess we can give them credit on that part. I don't know, but it's a nice palette. I'll be keeping it in my collection for you know, reference, but I wasn't excited about the color story. So next I have the Chasing Rainbows palette. If y'all remember, this was a holiday collection, I think from God only knows 20 something, but it's a nice little simple color story. You know, you got your neutral colors at the top, you got your pinks in the middle, and you got like your colorful shades toward the bottom, which is like the blues and dual shifting shades like I like. So this is my type of palette. I'm here for this palette. I still like this palette, which is why it's still in my collection, because that palette is quite old from the holidays. Okay, now we're getting close to the end. We're halfway done, y'all. I know, right? I feel like I've been sitting here for like a good 20-25 minutes and we're only halfway done. So I'm ranking all of these as one, pretty much. These are the ones I actually like and enjoy using when it comes to the 5-pan palette. So this is the Haunt Heat collection right here, with the orange one at the front, because this is my least favorite out of all of them. It's just because I don't, y'all know I'm not really a big fan of oranges, so the fact that this is an orange palette, I don't really care. These would be toward the end. These are the Digital Dusk ones, I guess. Is that the name of the collection, Digital Dusk or whatever? These would be toward the end, and these would be toward the front. It's just I don't like the orange one, which is why I had them the way I did. But I like all these just fine. The first ones they came out with, though, they were terrible. I think they had like Lyric and Ballad and some other ones. They were awful. Like, I would not recommend those at all. But I will recommend the Haunt Heat collection. And then if you like the tones in the Y2K collection, that's what it was called. You should use those. But the pink one from the Y2K collection, I do not recommend at all. I think it is terrible. That's why y'all saw it towards the very beginning, because that was like horrible. The quality on that, I don't know what was going on with it, but honey, I didn't want it. Whatever it was, I didn't want it. Next, I have my Colourpop and My Little Pony collection palette. I really like this palette. Only thing is I feel like it's not as wearable as it could be, because you gotta think all these shimmers at the bottom, the colors that I really like are like shimmer shades, and they only have like 3 matte shades, and they're all like light shades. So I'm like, what? Why? What is this? What's going on? So I'm not feeling this part up here. Well, I'm feeling it, but it's like I'm not feeling it to go with what's going on down here. Like, am I supposed to use this shade? But this shade, like, how are you supposed to work this out? Am I supposed to use this as a satin and put it on the outer V? Because I don't really like to use shimmers on the outer V. So to me, this one was just kind of like, the color story is nice, but I feel like I have to add other palettes with it, and I'm not with that. Okay, next we have this palette. This is a holiday palette that they came out with exclusively for Ulta when they first came out in Ulta. So it looks really similar to I Love Side East palette. So if you didn't get I Love Side East palette and you ended up getting this one, like, to me they look similar. I did a main chick side chick about them looking similar, but this is what this one looks like. I like the color story of it. It's just I like I Love Side East a little bit more, just because she gave us colorful mattes, whereas they just gave you this black one to go with the blue and these other shades. I mean, you can use this dark brown to work with it, but I just like hers a little bit more, so that's why it's higher up. But that one was good. The next one I have is Sweet Nothings. This came out with that same collection. I really like this one because it's a cool tone purple palette, and I feel like a lot of people don't make cool tone purple palettes, so I was happy to see that Colourpop made one, which is why it's still in my collection. Plus, I think it's gorgeous. I have not changed anything in this palette because I just think the color story is perfect, minus this shade right here. But you know, like, one shade out of the entire palette, considering how they do a whole bunch of sequin shadows now and a whole bunch of other stuff, I'm happy with this palette, and that's why it is ranking so high, even though it is so old. Next, I have the Raw Beauty Christie X Colourpop at First Sight. I ended up changing mine around though, because I didn't like the black sequin shade at the bottom, so I took the brown shade from the Mar palette and put it in here, and I think that's the only shade I changed. I feel like that's the only shade I changed from what I remember. Yes, I'm pretty sure this is the only shade I changed out of the entire palette, so I figure that's good, because, you know, in other palettes you've seen I changed like 4 and 5 and a whole bunch of different shades. But I like her color story for the most part. I just didn't like the fact that the black had shimmer in it, so I just made it brown. But it was a good palette. I heard people saying the darkest shades were difficult to work with. I didn't find them difficult to work with, but you know, it's just a personal preference, each his own type thing, so I can't speak for other people, but I found them to work just fine. So that's just me. Now here's the one I was talking about from I Love Side Through My Eyes. This is her second palette with them. She made 2 little small palettes when they first came out, and they only had like 5 singles in them. But this is her second one. I ended up digging my finger, digging a brush or something into this one by accident, and then I don't think they make this palette anymore, so I just have to take that L. But you see what I'm saying? Like, it has that darker shade to go with this shade, and then it still has like this darker shade if you want to use that with this shade as well. And then it has like some lighter mattes and things like that. So this is a nice, to me, like Christmas palette actually. Even though you can use it year long, but it makes me think of Christmas too, because it has the green, and then it has the reds, and it has like some nice warmer fall tones. So to me, this is like fall winter-ish type palette, just based upon the colors that she chose. But it's a really nice palette, and I was glad to have it in my collection, and still am glad to have it in my collection, because as you can see, it is still here. Now next is one of my all-time favorite Kathleen Lights collabs. Y'all know she didn't collab with Colourpop like 5, 10, 50, 11 times. But I love the Dream Street one from Kathleen Lights. This was like one of my favorite palettes. Like, I think this is Mermaid Boy right here, and then this shade, no, I think this is, no, what is this? This is Potion, I think. No, this is Water Bearer, sorry. So I like Water Bearer, Mermaid Boy, and Kaleidoscope. These are like the 3 shades I just thought were gorgeous in this palette. But again, you could mix the red with the blue shades to make a nice little look, and I still have this palette to this day. I plan on holding this forever. Like, I love that palette. It is stunning. Next, I have the Barbie and Colourpop palette. Oh god, my leg was getting tired. I was sitting on it. So this palette reminds me of the Strawberry Dream palette from Manny. So if you can't afford it, I definitely say look into this one. Now the formula is going to be the same. Whatever the formula on Manny's is much better than this one is, but I feel like this formula is good for the price point they're charging, because I think this is like $22. It's $20 or $22 because it was Barbie. So I think for the price they're charging, it's a pretty good formula. I'm not gonna pick it over my Manny palette, but it's like if I need to take it on vacation and I was feeling those colors, I would take this one with me and not be disappointed with the looks I got. Because if you all remember, I did a whole video comparing this one to that one, and I did the same look, and it turned out pretty well and pretty close in color. So I'm liking this palette a lot, and I'm glad I added it to my collection. That's the only collection that I think I bought from Colourpop this year, where I bought literally the whole collection other than Tinkerbell. But you'll see Tinkerbell soon, because it's closer to the higher up ranking. If you can't tell, we're at like close to the end. These are like my top tier palettes I tried this year from Colourpop that I would recommend for the most part in this little section right here. So next I have Limoncello. Y'all know I'm not really into like neutral tones, but I've actually used this palette like 3 or 4 times this year, and y'all know I don't use stuff like this, but like they got me with the pop of blue, because this is like a unique periwinkle-ish type blue that I don't really have in my collection that often. But if you cover it up, you see it's just a boring neutral palette with like this color, this shade right here, and this shade. I feel like this row right here is what makes this palette unique, because otherwise, look at it, that's boring. But the part on the end is what makes you go ooh. So I got mine when it first launched, because it was on sale when it first launched. You know, sometimes when they first launched, they're 20% off. This was one of those palettes, which is how I ended up with it, because otherwise I don't know if I'd have necessarily bought it at regular price. But when it was on sale at Ulta, I'm pretty sure I told y'all to run and get it. I didn't have a community tab at the time, so I couldn't post it, but this palette is one of their best of this year. The formula on this is amazing. But I have other ones that I like the color story of better. Not that the formula of that, not their formula is necessarily better. I mean, the standard Colourpop formula, but I feel like that formula is better than some of the ones I'm about to show you. But I like the color stories of these better. And at the end of the day, when I'm reaching for a palette, I'm thinking of color story as well as formula. But I think of color story just a tad bit more than I do with the formula, because like if I can work with the formula, then you know it's still okay. So next I have Cabana Club. This is actually $5 on Colourpop's website right now. A couple of the palettes I'm about to show you now is on sale on Colourpop's website for $5. I know the Powerpuff Girl one was $5. This one is $5. Another one I'm about to show you is $5. I think the Cherry Crush palette was $5 if I remember correctly. But anyway, this is Cabana Club. This is what it looks like. I didn't change any of the colors in this one, so that shows you that I like this color story just fine, because I've shown you 2 or 3 now that I have changed the colors in. But this one, I like the color story of just fine. I feel like the outer packaging gives you a good idea of what it looks like on the inside. Mine is like the random pop of purple and blue, but overall I feel like the color story of this is really nice. It came out at the perfect time. If I remember, it came out during spring, and it definitely gives me spring vibes. You can darken up the outer V and still like use this row to make a nice little colorful look. I feel like every row you can use to make an eye look, which is good for people who are just starting out. So this is a good palette, and I love the color story of it for spring, so that's why it's higher up than like the Limoncello one was, because obviously you all know that's more colorful than Limoncello was. I just covered up 3 colors in Limoncello and it was boring. So next I have the Sonic Bloom. So I did change one color here, but it was literally one shade. Like the light sequiny shade at the front, I think I changed out for this yellow shade right here. I got out the ornament palette. I believe that's where the yellow came from, but all the other shades were already in here, and I think this is a gorgeous palette. I like it better now that I changed out that shade, because now I can do a look with every row and work better for my skin tone. Because the shade they had there, I think it was like a sequin matte white shade for someone else to put underneath their brow bone, who ain't me. So I switched it out, and now it looks like this. This was on sale for 50% off on Ulta during I think like Black Friday sale. So it was like $9 because this is $18. I definitely think it's worth it. Like the packaging is stunning, the color story is really nice. This to me screams a nice fall. You can have a nice little romantic look there. You can do your everyday look here. You can do your everyday look with a cool inner corner pop, because this is a shifting shade. And if you want to do like a smoky look, you can have this on your outer V, you can put that on your lid, and then you can put that in the inner corner as a pop. So I think this is a great palette for someone who likes those sort of tones, i.e. me, so that's why it's in here. Now I got an older one toward the middle, but like y'all, this color story is popping, it's banging, it's everything. Colourpop should never got rid of this palette. They're fools for doing so. If you know me, then you know I'm talking about the Good Sport palette. What the hell were y'all thinking, Colourpop? Like, what were you thinking? Look at how gorgeous it is. To me, this like is a funner version of the one I just showed you, Sonic Bloom. Matter of fact, let's see. I feel like this is just a little fun version of Sonic Bloom. So if you want the same sort of effect, if you will, it might be a good idea to get Sonic Bloom, since you can't get Good Sport anymore. But like, they're both stunning. I actually think I should do a palette mashup with these, or use this in my favorite palette combinations video that I got coming up soon. So go ahead and put this to the side, both those together. But I really like both of those palettes. Next, I have the Colourpop Lush Life palette. I'm actually wearing that pencil in my waterline because I bought the pencils that went with that set too, just because they were so stunning. This is what she looks like on the inside. I compared this to the Wilderness palette from what do you call that brand, from Beauty Bay. And I also feel like the Wilderness palette from Beauty Bay is a good dupe for Marte if you didn't get to get it, and it's only 15 bucks. Random side note, I did a video on it when I first came out with it. But anyway, this one is stunning. I did a gorgeous eye look with this. I was in love with it. I really liked it. I was excited about it. I still like the color story of this to this day. And again, you can just go down each row and make an eye look with it, and you don't have to worry about what to do. Or you could just go across and make a nice eye look. I don't know about the middle part though, just because it's all shimmers, but it's a really nice color story for spring and summer, and I definitely recommend it. Even though I would use it now and be fine. Like, I just go down these 2 rows in the middle and use it, or go down the 2 outer rows for a lighter look. The formula on this is really, really nice. It's better than the other 2 I just showed you. But next, I have my Colourpop and Tinkerbell Sprinkle a Little Magic palette. I really like the color story of this palette. Like, I was living for it. It kind of reminded me of a cooler, grungier version of the Kylie Cosmetics, that You're So Money palette she came out with for her whatever birthday that was, 20th birthday, 21st, something like that. I don't remember. But the color story of that reminds me of this one, except this one seems like a cooler version of that, because that one was like more brighter and girliest. To me, this is a little more like deeper and grungy, and I'm here for it. I've actually used this palette about like 2 or 3 times, and again, I told y'all I don't use my Colourpop palette, so if I'm using them 2 or 3 times, it's a big deal. So I've used this 2 or 3 times. I've used Lush Life 2 or 3 times. I've used Limoncello 2 or 3 times. I've used the Barbie 2 or 3 times. So I've used a few of these Colourpop palettes 2 or 3 times. So that should tell you how good they are right there. The fact that I don't ever really reach for my Colourpop palettes, and the fact that I've used a few of these 2 or 3 times, just speaks volumes to like the quality of them and the color stories of them. And I live for a good color story. So next, I swear we at the last like 5 or 10. This is the Just My Luck palette from Colourpop. Now remember, I told you I switched mine up. So mine is a mixture of Just My Luck and Meant to Be. So this is from Meant to Be, I'm pretty sure, and this is from Meant to Be, I'm pretty sure. But the rest of this should just be the original Just My Luck palette. I just thought the color story of this would look cooler with a couple of the mint shades in there. And a lot of the mint shades from the Meant to Be palette, of course, are ashy for some of my skin tones. So they weren't working. So when I put them in here, I was like, it works better for me. So now my Meant to Be is just an empty shell. Now we're going to get into all my blue monochromatic palettes, because y'all know they was coming with Colourpop. So I have the On Cloud Blue palette. This is the last one they came out with as far as like true blues, because the High Tide is more like tealy blues. But this is what she looks like. I didn't change any of the shades in here just because I thought it was perfect. I'd like to dust this one over top of other shades in this palette. So this palette is actually a perfect blue pastel palette to my liking. I don't know what it is, but Colourpop can always make me a blue palette, because I think they do an exceptional job, and you'll see in a second, because we're about to see more blue palettes. The next one I have, of course, is the original blue palette they came out with, which was Blue Moon. When I saw this, I knew. I was just like, I need it. I need it. Look at how gorgeous this is. Like, this is blue for me. Like, them and BH Cosmetics do an excellent job when it comes to making blue palettes. I will give them that. Like, I want to rank all my like monochromatic palettes in like a color series with like blues and greens and purple. Let me know if you want to see it, because I will definitely do it. I am so excited to do it. I'm just like, yes, I want to do it so badly. But this is one of my all-time favorite Colourpop palettes. It's stunning. Like, whenever I think of a blue palette, I usually think about this one, Blueberry Muffin, the one I just showed you, or the one I'm just about to show you next, which is the High Tide palette. This palette here. Like, look, see, they just do such a great job. Now, this one is like my least favorite when it comes to like all the extra shades or whatever. But again, since I can pop these out, that's why it's higher up, because it's like I can pop out these and then put in some shades that I prefer and I feel like it work better for me. Like, for example, I don't like this shade right here, but this is the only shade I'm not really that fond of. The rest of them are fine, so that's why I was like, it can still be at the top, because the color story is just so perfect. And then it has this like dual chromey blue. It's just, this is my type of blue. Like, Colourpop knows how to make me in blue. So we have made it to the last top 4. Are you excited that we're here? Because, man, I thought we'd never get here. Okay, so number 4 is the Play It Jewel palette. I got this for my birthday from my friend Jackie. This is what it looks like on the inside. Again, I told you I remade Colourpop palettes. I remade this one. I think this shade is from the Sailor Moon palette originally. I think, don't quote me, it might have came from another palette, but I know I'm pretty sure I put that one in here. I know I put this one in here. I think this is from the Mar palette. I put this one in here from Meant to Be. Did I put anything else in here? I feel like I didn't put anything else in here. I didn't put too much of anything in here, so I think it's just literally those two right there I put in, and maybe that shade right there. But I've been enjoying this palette pretty well as far as the color story goes. I think I only used it once. I need to use it a little bit more to get more of a feel for it. But what I tried, I did like, and I ended up liking the eye look I did. And I thought it was going to be like those other two I showed you all at the beginning that I was not really that big a fan of. So I was pleasantly surprised. Now I feel like you should know what's coming after that one. Of course, it's going to be the It's a Mood palette. I recreated this one as well. So if you can see, I added a shade from the Meant to Be palette from this one as well. There was some other stuff I added in here. I'm trying to remember. I think I took this from either Garden Variety or the She palette, and then I don't think there's too many shades I added to this one either, just because I didn't feel like I needed to. I honestly, I think that might be it. I think I only added 2 shades to this one too. So with the 2 jewel tone, like grungy tone fall palettes, I felt like I didn't need to add too much of anything, which I was happy about, because with the It's All Good and Your Golden palette, I felt like I had to add a whole bunch of shades to make it look the way I wanted it to. So I'm happy with the way this one looks. I was happy with the mattes I used in here, and then I just used the shimmers from the Play It Jewel palette. So I use these in conjunction with each other, because sometimes I feel like the shimmers in here are just a little too grungy and deep, and I want something that's a little bit brighter on the lid than what comes in here. So these combined have been working out for me nicely. So my top 2 are, let's see, So Jaded is number 2 from Casting Lights and Colourpop. This is what I was telling you about, the first big palette that they came out with. This is what she looks like on the inside. I don't like the fact that there's pressed glitters in here, but you know, at the time I don't think they made, well, at the time I just didn't think to change them out, because I just started changing Colourpop palettes out recently, probably like at the end of last year, the beginning of this year. So I'll probably pop those out eventually. I might just leave them the way it is, just because, you know, since it's a collab palette, I try not to change collab palettes unless I really just am annoyed. And since they've been there this whole time and it's been fine, I figured they could just stay. I don't reach for this one that much as I used to. I used to reach for it more, but since I have the I kind of want to try it with the It's a Mood palette and see if I like the mattes in there to go better with Kathleen's or the Play It Jewel palette. So I might do a palette match with those and see how that goes when I have to go to work next week. We'll see, or when I have to go to work Sunday. Of course, number 1, I feel like you should know what number 1 is, because if you all remember when this palette came out, I was like, if I had to make a palette, this would be it. So of course it is Perception by Shayla and Colourpop. Now I didn't buy her second collab that she came out with, the construction one, or Proceed with Caution I think it's called. But this one right here was my jam right here. Like, I had like 2 or 3 of these in my collection. That's how much I liked it. I had one here at my grandmother's house, then I had one at home, and I ended up having to buy a second one to leave here at my grandma's house, because my cousin that was with me when I began my YouTube journey, like, she took the one I had here, so then I had to like replace it, so that way I wouldn't have to keep lugging makeup to my grandmother's house the way I still do now. So but yeah, this is number 1. I know you're probably shocked, but it's like, I still love this palette just as much as I did when it first came out. All about the black girl magic. I was so excited and happy, and still love that palette to this day. Now they don't sell that one anymore either, but we made it, y'all. We made it to the end. I don't know how we did it, because I'm tired as hell. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, y'all are diamonds. I'm curious to see how many Colourpop palettes y'all have. Why don't you drop the number down below so I have to feel ashamed alone? Because I had 53, like I said, till 2 of them broke just now. So I'm down to 51, but that's still an excessive amount considering I told you I used like 5 or 6 of these this year repeatedly out of 50 some odd palettes. So maybe we should do a Colourpop declutter. Let me know down below if y'all want to see a Colourpop declutter, because some of these I might not necessarily need, but a lot of the times I keep Colourpop for reference because they have so many things, and since they come out with things constantly, I can tell y'all like, oh, well, this one looks like this one, so you don't really need it, or this one looks like this one, so you don't necessarily need it. So that's why I keep a lot of Colourpop in my collection. Plus, it's just affordable. And when you go on vacation, sometimes you want to take expensive stuff with you. So you can take your Colourpop and it's $5 or $6 if it breaks, you know. It's not like your Pat McGrath broke or your ABH broke or your Dose of Colors broke, you know. Like, that's another reason I keep it around, to be honest. But anyway, like I said, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know down below how many Colourpop palettes you have, and if you want to see a declutter of some Colourpop palettes, because I feel like I can let some go just because they like super old, and I know my friend Jackie just wants to collect all the Colourpop palettes, so that's another reason I would do it, so just so I can give some to her. But I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Remember, y'all are diamonds. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be blessed, girl. Bye.